Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Fujifilm X-H1. This is possibly the biggest camera that I own, and I would say that it was one of my favorite cameras until I got another camera. But then again, I do like all my cameras equally because there's a reason why I buy them. But this one is a beautiful camera and I'm going to tell you why. So an overview of this camera. As you can see, it's got the nice big interesting screen. I really like this screen. I feel like it's quite unique to Fujifilm cameras. Well, I say that, but there's a lot of cameras with screens on the top, or there was at least. But I really feel like there's only two cameras that have this, and it's the XH series and the GFX series. And this feels to me, when I got this, it left me in awe, like how you can just change the color of it and all of that. I feel like it's such a cool thing. I like that it kind of stays on when you turn off the camera, and it tells you like how many shots you have left, how much battery you have left. It's quite practical and it's really different. I don't know if they really needed to put it there, in honesty. They could have saved quite a lot of space if they didn't, but I get why they did it, especially if you got like a really big video rig on it. It'll be kind of nice just to see what's going on. Some other features is the dial. So it's got an ISO dial and it's got a shutter speed dial. What's really nice about this camera compared to other Fujifilms is it's got an 8000 mechanical shutter speed, where all my other ones I think only have 4000, and it really has a really nice high ISO of 12800, but I think it can push up even higher than that. I have shot on 12800 ISO. I'll put those images up, but I shot in black and white, which kind of gives it a specific kind of aesthetic. But honestly, it surprised me. It was pure darkness, and I boosted this ISO, and these images came out like I had a light source, but I didn't, you know. Some other things about it is the screen. It can pop out like vertically like that, and then it can also pop out, as you know, most Fuji screens kind of do. But it's unfortunate that for a video build camera, this isn't fully articulating. I know the newer ones are, I think. It's got the little joystick, it's got the D-pad, it's got the display button at the back, so all really useful stuff. I think you can customize all of these. It's got a really nice grip. I have really big hands and this grip feels fantastic. I've heard some people complain about this grip. I don't know why. I feel like it's literally perfect. I love using this camera just because of the grip and the really soft shutter speed. Most of my other Fujifilms have that steel shutter speed where you can put like a shutter release cable directly into it, where this one is like directly just for this. The doors are cool, but also they're just doors, and I really like the fact that the SD cards go on the side. Some other weird things about this camera is the fact that I got this camera for quite cheap. I got it for about 8,000 Rand, and that was because its SD card one slot doesn't work anymore, and if you remove the battery from the bottom, it resets the camera. So I charge the battery in the camera so that I don't have to take the battery out. But the SD card thing, I mean, luckily I don't use it professionally. I think this camera was used professionally before, that's why it was so run down. But for what I use it for, it's fine. Just having the one SD card. I've got a really big size SD card, so I can take 3000 raw shots or like 10,000 JPEGs or something like that. So I don't have to ever worry about that. Unless the SD card dies too, then the camera's pretty much useless. But hopefully that won't happen. I heard that they have really weak SD card slots, and I'm pretty sure I can get them fixed, but I just haven't bothered to try yet, to be honest. Maybe towards the end of the year I'll see if I can get it fixed. Some other things about it, the viewfinder is really nice on this camera. It's so big. I just don't really like this rubber cap, but I get why it's there. But it just gets like little pieces of fabric stuck to it, so it just looks a bit tatty. But besides that, yeah, really fantastic camera. Very different camera from Fujifilm. I know the X-H2S is out, or the X-H2 is out now, so trust me, if I had that type of money, I'd buy that. But for what I got this for, and for what I use it for, it's fantastic. It's beautiful. Talk about image quality in this camera. It really is amazing. I think it's a 24 megapixel sensor. It's an APS-C sensor, as you know. Fuji pretty much does that. The image quality is fantastic. The film simulations are a joy. When I originally got this camera, I had a Portra and a Fujifilm Pro 400 film simulation, and those two looked almost identical to the film simulation. Pretty identical in terms of the color, the way it was capturing skin tones, stuff like that was, yeah, it was quite mind-blowing. But I feel like when you build those custom film simulations into the camera, they kind of ruin what the camera can actually do in a way, because you're building a specific type into camera. I'm more of a guy who likes to do it in post, so maybe that's just because of my history, but I've kind of reset all those film simulation stuff just to be like normal, like classic chrome is pretty much what I use now, or negative pro 400 or whatever it's called. I usually shoot raws with these cameras just because it lets me dial in those shadows and those highlights, and I don't have to worry too much about being in the street and then getting my settings completely, well, not that it will help me if it's completely wrong, but slightly wrong, if that makes sense. Sometimes I also use the metering that I use overall metering instead of spot metering sometimes, and that can be a bit off in any camera really that I've used. So it's sometimes nice just to be able to pull that back in and use masks and stuff to fix all of that up. I used to be a video guy, but I've honestly forgotten all the hoo-ha, the 422, the 10-bit, all of that. I don't even remember some of that talk anymore. I did do a film degree, but I don't really do film like videography stuff anymore. But when I do shoot with video with this, it's 4K, it's crisp, it's clear, it's fantastic. Being able to use a film simulation on video is the best thing you can do. I do use a turner, but I sometimes just tweak it a bit in post, and it's fantastic. The only thing I can say is that I have a 35 f2 lens on here, which is a bit tight for my liking. I like to kind of shoot a bit wider to capture the whole scene, not just focus on specific things. So I want to try and get maybe a nice zoom, like an 18 to 55 or a 16 to 80, something like that, just for this camera. Just so that I can use it to shoot video on the run, like really good quality, maybe get something with some image stabilization. But this does have the 5-axis built-in sensor shift, which is honestly fantastic, and this is the only camera I have that has that. I have the Sony ZV-10 and the X-T20, but those, as you know, if you move around too much, it's going to look like you're on a jumping castle, you get me? So this is better, much smoother, much easier to use. I just need to get a better lens for it, in honesty, and then I think I will be using this camera a lot more than I am now. But I feel like it's, as I say, when I go for a walk, when I walk to a shop, or if I'm walking the streets of Cape Town, I can't be carrying this thing. It's a tank. I have to go to a specific location with a shoot in mind to use this guy, just because he's heavy, bro. Like, my neck hurts just carrying it around in a strap, so I bought this like shoulder camera thing for it. So I haven't given it a shot yet, but I feel like it will definitely help with the weight distribution and the portability of this camera, because it's a big camera, it's a beast. I would recommend this to someone who definitely wants to do videography. It's a lot cheaper now than buying like an X-H1. I still think Sony has an edge over getting the video quality better. I think it's got to do with the 6K down sampling into 4K. There's just something about the crispness of video that Sony does. But in terms of if you want like straight out of video, a really nice aesthetic look, this camera is your camera. If you want a camera that's stabilized, like my Sony isn't stabilized, the ZV-10, I know the A7s and stuff are stabilized, but even a second-hand A7 these days is going for over 10, 13, 14, it's probably almost 20,000 Rand, where this I got for 8,000 with its problems. But I think a fully functioning non-issue one is about 10,000, 11,000 now, and for that price, I mean, honestly, you're getting a really great camera. It's really got such fantastic video quality, such fantastic image quality. The dials are fantastic. Being able to switch your ISO and your shutter speed, and then also still able to change your metering and your film, like if you want to shoot single shot or video or continuous or whatever, it's all there. Even this is really useful. The manual to continuous autofocusing is really so useful, especially for video stuff, especially if you like shooting manual focus. The double memory card is really useful if you're doing video. I honestly don't use it, but I mean, I can imagine that if you're doing a shoot all day, how having 2 memory cards in there, it's gonna be fantastic. And yeah, a lot of people bought the battery pack that comes with this just to give it even longer battery life, because battery life, I would say it lasts me a day if I had to shoot 4K video and shoot in the street. But obviously I can't, like my instance, I can't switch out batteries without resetting the whole camera, so a battery grip might be a good idea for me, but I don't think I'll ever use the camera that extensively. This is a fantastic camera. It's a 2-in-1 package. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do leave a like and subscribe. If you have any questions about the camera, please do add them to the comments. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, and if you need any help with any decisions, I'm more than happy to give you some input. So yeah, thanks for watching and enjoy your day. Peace.